Today we're diving into something really specific. What happens when the sound you can't stand is one you literally can't escape? For so many people, this is the daily reality of a condition like tinnitus. We're going to look at a pretty surprising way to deal with it by focusing not on the sound itself, but on your thoughts about it. For millions, this isn't just a what-if question, it's their life. The sound might be a constant ringing inside their head, or maybe it's a painful sensitivity to everyday noises, or even a really powerful, angry reaction to specific sounds. To get to the solution, we first have to really understand the problems. Okay, so let's start by breaking down 3 distinct but often connected auditory conditions. Getting a clear picture of what they are is absolutely the first step toward finding any kind of relief. First up, tinnitus. You've probably heard of it, that classic ringing or maybe a buzzing or hissing that nobody else can hear because it's not coming from outside. Now, here's the crucial part. Right now, there is no cure that makes that sound just go away. Keep that in your back pocket because it's key to everything we're about to talk about. Next, we've got something called hyperacusis. This isn't an internal sound, it's an extreme sensitivity to the world around you. Everyday noises like dishes clattering or a car horn can feel incredibly painfully loud, almost frightening. And just like tinnitus, there's currently no cure for the sensitivity itself. And finally, there's misophonia. This one is really specific. It's not about how loud something is. It's about having this intense, gut-level emotional reaction. We're talking rage or total disgust to particular trigger sounds, things like someone chewing or even just breathing. So, you might be thinking if there's no direct cure for these sounds, then what's the point? Well, this is where it gets really interesting. The hope lies in understanding a super important insight. The suffering isn't just about the sound. It's about this powerful negative loop that gets started in our minds. This right here, this is the core idea we need to wrap our heads around. The sound itself, that's just the trigger. The real engine of the distress, the anxiety, the anger, the misery, is what happens next, inside your own head. It's the story you start telling yourself about that sound. Let's just walk through this cycle for a second. It all starts with this sound. You hear it, that immediately triggers an automatic negative thought, something like, oh no, this is unbearable. That thought creates real emotional and physical distress. Your heart might start racing, you feel anxious, you get tense. And what does that distress do? It acts like a giant spotlight, forcing you to focus even more on the sound, which just proves that negative thought right, and boom, you're stuck in this awful feedback loop. So if the problem is this vicious feedback loop, how on earth do you break it? Well, a ton of research points to a really powerful evidence-based answer, cognitive behavioral therapy, or what most people just call CBT. To put it simply, CBT is a type of therapy that gives you practical, real-world tools to change how you think and act when you're faced with a problem. It's all about changing your reaction to something, whether that something is happening out in the world or, in the case of tinnitus, inside your own head. Now, this is so important to get. Let's be really clear about what CBT does and what it does not do. It is not going to make the ringing in your ears stop. It's not going to make your neighbors stop chewing loudly. Instead, it targets the distress caused by those things. The whole goal is to effectively cure the suffering, even if the sound is still there. And that, right there, can completely change someone's quality of life. So how does it actually work? Well, CBT helps you catch those automatic negative thoughts right as they're happening. Then it teaches you to question them, to challenge them, and see if they're really true. It also helps you change your behaviors, like, avoiding quiet rooms or not going to restaurants, so you can get back to living your life. The ultimate goal here is to build a totally new, much more neutral relationship with the sound, so it just doesn't have that power over you anymore. Okay, this all sounds great in theory, but we have to ask, does the science actually back this up? Let's take a look at the evidence. So in medicine, the absolute strongest evidence comes from something called randomized controlled trials, or RCTs. This is basically how researchers figure out what really works versus what just might work. They compare the new treatment to a control group. It is for sure the gold standard for a reason. So what do these top-tier trials show us? Well, for tinnitus, the evidence for CBT is incredibly strong. We're talking multiple large-scale reviews all confirming that it significantly reduces people's distress. For hyperacusis, the evidence is really promising, though we could use a bit more research. And for misophonia, the evidence is still emerging, mostly from case studies. But those early results are really, really encouraging. Let's just zoom in on tinnitus for a second. Because this is where the evidence is rock solid. Research shows CBT works in all kinds of formats, one-on-one, in groups, even delivered online. And it doesn't just have to be a psychologist. Specially trained audiologists can do it effectively too. But here's the most mind-blowing finding. It consistently reduces how much a patient is suffering, even when they say the actual loudness of the sound hasn't changed at all. Clinical data is one thing, but what does it actually feel like for the patients? What do they think? A 2016 study gives us a really powerful glimpse into that. And honestly, the results just speak for themselves. Just look at these numbers. 65% of patients rated the therapy as very effective. That's a perfect 5 out of 5 score. Then you add another 29% who rated it as effective. If you do the math, that's a staggering 94% of patients who found real, meaningful relief. I mean, for anyone out there feeling hopeless about this stuff, that statistic is a huge, powerful reason to be optimistic. So when you put all of this together, the data, the patient stories, what's the big takeaway here? It's that we might need to totally rethink what getting better even means. This might be the single most important message of this whole thing. When a cure that just makes the sound disappear isn't on the table, the path forward isn't this endless, frustrating search for total silence. It's about learning how to find peace, right here, right now, in the middle of the noise. And that's really what it all boils down to: empowerment. CBT isn't some passive thing that just happens to you. It's an active process where you learn new skills. It gives you the tools you need to finally break that vicious cycle, to stop the sound from running your life, and to put you firmly back in the driver's seat. So I'll leave you with this final thought to chew on. We've seen that for so many people, finding peace doesn't mean changing the world around them, or even the weird signals inside their own head. It means changing their relationship with those signals. Thanks for tuning in.